Let me take you back to a moment that might feel familiar. It's late at night, you open TikTok just for a few minutes, you tell yourself. One scroll, two scrolls, and suddenly you're watching a video about a major political protest happening across the world. You swipe again, now a health hack video, promising to fix your sleeping problems. You keep scrolling, a breakdown of a Supreme Court ruling, a viral take on climate change, and a 5-second did you know fact about history. By the end of that session, you feel informed, caught up, maybe even smarter than when you started. But if I asked you what sources these videos were citing or whether the claims they made were even accurate, could you tell me? For most of us, the answer is not really, which is the core of the problem. Social media isn't actually making us more literate, it's just making us feel that way. And today, I want to show you why that illusion of literacy is not just a personal problem, it's a societal one that risks reshaping how we think, how we learn, and ultimately how we interact with the truth itself. What is digital literacy? When we talk about digital literacy, we're talking about something much deeper than just using technology. Digital literacy is the ability to find, evaluate, and communicate information effectively in digital environments. It's about knowing how to question what we see, not just consuming information, but critically evaluating it. It sounds simple, right? But the platforms dominating our lives, like TikTok, Twitter, and Instagram, weren't designed to encourage critical thinking. They were designed to maximize engagement. They want us to click, to share, to stay, but not necessarily to understand. As Bradford points out, AI-driven algorithms are programmed to show us what we are most likely to react to, not what's necessarily true or even helpful. So instead of being challenged by a range of perspectives, we are trapped in echo chambers, and we are surrounded by content that simply reinforces what we already believe. The more we scroll, the narrower our perspective becomes, and because we are exposed to so much content, it feels like we are learning. That's the illusion. Nowhere has this illusion been more dangerous than during major global events. Let's talk about COVID-19. During the pandemic, millions of people turned to social media for answers. What they often found was a flood of misinformation. False claims about miracle cures, conspiracies about vaccines, and fabricated data. Johnson found that platforms like TikTok and Twitter become prime grounds for this type of content. And here's the scary part. False information spreads 6 times faster than any true information on social media. By the time fact-checkers or scientists corrected these myths, the lies had already gone viral. In those moments, our false sense of literacy had real consequences. People weren't evaluating this information critically. They were trusting it simply because they encountered it online. They mistook exposure for understanding. Now, some of you might be thinking, okay, but isn't it our responsibility to slow down and verify things ourselves? Yes, but we're fighting against a system that trains us not to. The very design of social media platforms discourages deep engagement. Lee describes how the fast scrolling structure of these apps promotes passive consumption. Short videos, sensational headlines, and limited opinions. The more we scroll, the less we reflect, and the quicker we consume, the less we question. And over time, this way of interacting with information becomes habitual. We stop asking who is behind this information, what's the evidence, how does it fit into a larger context in society. Instead, we just absorb, instantly and uncritically, and this fundamentally rewires how we think, replacing curiosity with convenience. Now, why does this all matter? Because if we lose our ability to critically engage with information, we lose something greater than just digital literacy. We lose our ability to be informed individuals. We lose the skills that democracy depends on, which are the ability to weigh arguments, the ability to recognize bias, and the ability to change our minds based on evidence. When social media platforms redefine being informed as simply being exposed to information, when feeling informed becomes more important than being informed, truth itself becomes unfortunate. I'll be honest, I've fallen for this illusion too. There have been many times when I've shared articles without reading them fully, times when I believed a headline that confirmed my perspective without bothering to check the facts. It's easy, it's automatic, and it's dangerous. Because when we stop questioning, we start accepting. And when we start accepting without questioning, we open the door for manipulation. So, what do? First, we have to reclaim critical thinking as a daily habit. That means slowing down, asking questions, choosing to read beyond the headlines, and verifying before sharing. Second, we have to demand better from the platforms themselves. Policymakers should require transparency about how algorithms decide what we use. Platforms should prioritize credible sources, not just clickable ones. And educational systems must recognize that digital literacy isn't automatic just because students grew up online. It must be taught to them. And finally, we have to remind ourselves every day that feeling informed is not the same as being informed. True literacy, real critical thinking, takes work. It takes patience and it takes willingness. If we can reclaim that willingness, if we can teach the next generation to question, to verify, to think deeply, then the digital world can become what it was always supposed to be: a tool for learning and a space for discovery, a catalyst for understanding, not a substitute for it. Imagine a future where social media doesn't just show us what's popular, but challenging us to be thoughtful, informed, and responsible individuals. That's a future worth fighting for. Thank you.